start with our next unit, electrochemistry. Electrochemistry is made up of two words, electro and chemistry. In the first case, where we have chemical reactions which are generated from electric current, and in the second case where chemical reactions give rise to electric current. We have a number of topics to discuss over here. First, we'll discuss what are electrochemical cells. Electrochemical cell is also called a galvanic cell as well as a voltaic cell. Voltaic cell, galvanic cell, electrochemical cell all mean the same thing. Then our studies will be followed by what exactly we mean by reduction potential, followed by Nernst equation. Nernst equation is a very important topic in electrochemistry which is based on derivation and numericals. Then we will be studying the electrolytic cell, which is basically in which electrical energy is used to give rise to chemical reactions, followed by Faraday's laws and a few other topics. Exactly is an electrochemical cell. We will first consider an experimental setup shown as follows. We have a container here in which a solution of copper sulfate is present. Copper sulfate solution is blue in color. In this copper sulfate solution, we have a zinc rod that is immersed in it. This zinc rod is also called an electrode. A zinc rod is immersed in a solution of copper sulfate, and this setup is kept for some time. After a few hours, when we observe this experimental setup, it is seen that the container which has the blue solution of copper sulfate, the blue color changes and gets faded. The zinc rod is reduced in size, the zinc rod is getting consumed, and there is a deposit of a reddish orange precipitate at the bottom of this container. That is, the copper is depositing at the bottom of this container. When a thermometer is immersed inside the container, it is observed that there is an increase in the temperature. This reaction is accompanied with an evolution of heat, and it is an exothermic reaction. So finally we observe that the reaction that is occurring is a spontaneous reaction. A spontaneous reaction takes place. This is a spontaneous reaction. Over here, the blue color of copper sulfate fades away. The blue color of copper sulfate fades. Zinc rod is consumed, and the reaction is accompanied by increase in temperature, that is, an exothermic reaction is taking place. So finally we see that in the beginning we have chemicals over here, a zinc rod dipped in a solution of copper sulfate. Finally, in this reaction, chemical energy is getting converted to heat energy. Chemical energy is getting converted to heat energy. So such a type of a setup in which the reaction, that is both the half cells, that is both the zinc electrode and the copper sulfate solution, both the electrolyte, both are taken in a single container wherein the oxidation and reduction are taking place simultaneously, is called a direct redox reaction. It is called a direct redox reaction. In this reaction, it is observed that the zinc electrode is getting converted to zinc ions, releasing 2 electrons. The copper ions from the copper sulfate solution are picking up these electrons and depositing copper in the form of a copper precipitate at the bottom. So this reaction where the electrons are released is called the oxidation half reaction, and in this reaction where copper ions are picking up the electrons is called the reduction half reaction. So herein both oxidation and reduction are simultaneously taking place in this single container. It is called a direct redox reaction. But our purpose of electrochemistry, that is is not being solved here because we want to use the electrical energy that is to be generated here. But we are getting chemical energy is getting converted to heat energy. Our heat energy is not helping us into an electrical energy. How exactly can we utilize the energy release to get current out of it or an electrical energy released out of it? We'll be studying in another setup, that is another experimental setup for our electrochemical cell.